And welcome into live stream. Thank you all for watching for tonight's matchup, marquee matchup in the AFC West. Your Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and his 9 to 10 year deal. Chiefs coming in as a 4-point favorite at home. Here's a stat for you guys. Patrick Mahomes has thrown 1,001 yards against the Chargers over the last 3 regular seasons. He's the only quarterback to do so, and that makes sense. Now this AFC West division is a lot more competitive than it was over the last 3 seasons, with Derek Carr teaming up with his former college teammate in Devontae Adams, who was signed over from the Green Bay Packers this offseason, and Russell Wilson, of course, coming over from the Seattle Seahawks, having a bit of an abysmal debut there on Monday night against his former team, and his backup actually beating him in prime time. So, welcome in. Hopefully the water, whiskey, beer, or wine is tasting great tonight. It's about to taste better if we're about to make some money. So, in terms of the spread here, and also before we start getting into player props, bets you might be willing to take if you've got the money for it, is let's see here. Lost my train of thought. Oh, taking anything. Start sit questions for week 2. Dynasty questions after week 1. Try not to overreact, of course, right? Start sit, sell high candidates, buy low candidates. I already had a column on that on Twitter last week, but I could definitely reiterate that in between some of y'all's questions. So come prepared. Bring your questions in. And some overview here for Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, and the rest of the players we'll be seeing tonight. Of course, major inactive tonight is Keenan Allen, still dealing with the injury that he suffered last week. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a long-term injury. Sounds like he's going to be out just this week. And, of course, everyone running to the waiver wire this week going for either DeAndre Carter, the former Texans wide receiver, or going to grab the second-year wideout, Josh Palmer. I think Jalen Guyton's actually kind of going under the radar a little bit here. Jalen Guyton, over the last few seasons, has caught some big-time plays, big-time throws from Justin Herbert and previous quarterbacks. So I think Jalen Guyton is a great DFS play tonight. I'm not saying stick him in your captain spot, but he's going to be underowned, heavily underowned. And as far as I know, looking at DraftKings right now, the major inactives, before we start getting into these player props, like I said, Keenan Allen out. It looks like the backup quarterback, Eason Stick, out. Shane Buechele, the former University of Texas Longhorn quarterback, out for the Kansas City Chiefs today. Mecole Hardman in, Josh Palmer in, of course, Isaiah Pacheco in. Harrison Butker, the standout kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, is out. We all saw him roll his ankle last week. And the safety, Justin Reed, Justin Reed, the brother of Eric Reed, is playing backup kicker still, as far as I know. We saw him kick it through the uprights last week, and that was an absolute bomb. I don't know why the Kansas City Chiefs even bother signing another kicker. Just sign him to a 2-way deal, and I think both parties are happy, so you don't have to keep more than one kicker on the team. So what other inactives for tonight? Ronald Jones is out, for those of you who have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon. That's only going to be better for both of those running backs. Ronald Jones, who was on the roster bubble in the offseason after a free agent signing, after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers let Rojo walk. And so it looks like that signing is kind of just a bad waste of money. I mean, he wasn't extremely expensive or anything of that nature, but Ronald Jones not even seeing the field, not even on the sidelines with pads on. And so, I think that only bodes better for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. I think this has a lot more to do with Isaiah Pacheco earning that number 3 running back spot for the Kansas City Chiefs behind Patrick Mahomes. More than it has to do with Rojo being hurt or anything of that nature, but this is a team that has 4 different running backs on the team. This is a coach's decision tonight, so this is not a health-related issue. Rojo is a healthy scratch tonight. So, Rockets up, trending up emojis for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Isaiah Pacheco. Maybe Jerick McKinnon, too. We've got a couple props on Jerick McKinnon tonight. I am not so hot on him, actually, but with Rojo being out again, it might, who knows, might sway us. Donald Parham, the backup tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers, is currently out. Blake Bell, tight end for Kansas City's out. And, of course, Justin Ross is on IR. So that pretty much does it for inactives right now. So let's get into the statistics, news, notes, things that caught my eye going into this matchup here. And Patrick Mahomes, in his matchups since joining the league against the Los Angeles Chargers defense, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 15 scrambles, most by any QB by 8. Joe Burrow has the second most with 7. And the Los Angeles Chargers defense only got better, bringing in Khalil Mack, who had a great debut with the Chargers last week. Also, don't forget, J.C. Jackson, the former standout cornerback for the New England Patriots, is making his debut tonight in the powder blue and yellow for the Los Angeles Chargers. He signed a major $90 million 4-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers, so I expect him to have a great game up against the Kansas City wide receivers. For those are the wide receivers that are actually playing. I don't expect to see a lot of J.C. Jackson, Juju Smith-Schuster matchups tonight. Just FYI, J.C. Jackson, usually more of a perimeter cornerback as opposed to a slot. And to be frank with you, I haven't looked at Juju's usage in terms of where he lined up last week, so that will be something that I can look up right now, actually. And that'll be something of concern in case he does go up against J.C. Jackson. That is not something that I would, or any Juju Smith-Schuster owners would like to see tonight, especially J.C. Jackson coming off fresh legs after taking week 1 off due to injury last week. And staying on top of Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the statistics here for tonight, 18 worth completion percentage out of 25 qualifying quarterbacks over the last 3 years against Chargers D. So we know this is how Patrick Mahomes plays. He's definitely a gunslinger, kind of reminds you of a much more accurate, much more charismatic Brett Favre, right? He's much of a gunslinger. So I'm not too worried about this adjusted completion percentage being 18th out of 25 quarterbacks against the Los Angeles Chargers over the last 3 years. One of those, I watched every single one of his interceptions over the last 3 years against the Chargers, and one of them just went straight through the tight end Kemp's hands 2 years ago. And so I don't take that one on him. It's really more of an 8 touchdown to 3 interceptions against the Chargers over the last 3 years. One thing here as well is only 55% of his yards came over the air. So we might see a lot of dump-offs, lots of checkdowns for Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce over the middle. I don't think we're going to see more than 4 to 5 big-time throws for Patrick Mahomes, and who I would think would be MVS on the other end of those types of targets. Travis Kelce usually makes, bigger plays with his legs after the catch. Same thing for Juju Smith-Schuster, and same thing for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 55%, again, that number, 55% of Patrick Mahomes' passing yards are in the air prior to landing in the hands of one of those receptions. So, moving on here, 281 yards per game for Patrick Mahomes since 2019 against the Chargers. And tonight, his line is set up to be, what is his line here? Oh, yeah. His line is set at 300 and a half of yard. So 300 yards. He's averaging 281 up against the Los Angeles Chargers over the last 3 years. That defense is getting better. if I were a betting man, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. Believe it or not, on Thursday Night Football, we're going to take the under on Patrick Mahomes' 300.5 passing yards on Underdog tonight. Okay, that was the line at least for Patrick Mahomes yesterday night. Now I see it, and Underdog, it's still the same, 300.5. I would gladly take the under there. He doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. Like I said, a lot of these pass attempts tonight for Patrick Mahomes appear to be, even at home, a little bit more of checkdowns, low ADOT throws, low average depth of target throws. So I would gladly take the under. And sure, am I betting against one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and especially one of the best quarterbacks in the league at this moment? Yeah, I would be. But sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit. And you don't, scare money doesn't make any money. And if we're going based off historical data and we're going off trends, 281 passing yards since 2019 on average doesn't bode well, especially when you use your most dynamic pass catcher in Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. So I will gladly take the under on Patrick Mahomes' 305 passing yards tonight. And again, they are a 4.5-point favorite. Vegas is saying the Chiefs should be winning this game by at least a field goal, right? And so because of that, there's going to be those low ADOT throws. There's going to be a whole lot more in the running game for Clyde Edwards-Helaire if they're going to be in the lead. I expect that the Chiefs at home are going to take care of business tonight. I think they cover the spread by 3. So I guess that would mean they're not covering the spread. I have the Chiefs winning by 3 points tonight, just a field goal. So I have the Chargers covering the 4-point spread as underdogs on the road, but I don't have Patrick Mahomes covering 300 yards plus on underdog. All right, let's look at Patrick Mahomes's, and I'm going to slide in here, show you what I'm looking at here on underdog so I can walk you through it. All right. So, where is Patrick Mahomes here? There he is, 300.5 points, 300.5 passing yards, rather. I don't know why Underdog doesn't do over-under anymore. They call it higher or lower. I'm going to still call it over. We are going the under here on Patrick Mahomes' 305 yards, all right? And INTs, let's look at these INTs here. Only slotted for 0.5 interceptions. Basically, Underdog is asking you think he's going to have one interception or you think he's going to have no interceptions? Well, let's look at historical data, right? He's thrown at least one interception per game against the Chargers over the last 3 years, okay? Again, this Chargers defense, the big scope of things is that the Chargers defense has gotten better. They've made the signings, they've taken the action, right? Joey Bosa on one side, Khalil Mack on the other. The linebackers are solid. And now they bring in J.C. Jackson, Derwin James also in that secondary. It's going to be a tough game for Patrick Mahomes, and he's thrown, on average, at least one interception over the last 3 years against the Chargers, both at home and on the road. And the last 2 times that he played against the Chargers at home, he threw 2 interceptions and then 3 interceptions. Tonight's game is at home against the Chargers. I'm not going to try to figure out what the correlation or causation is here. But my guess would be is that Patrick Mahomes likes to put on a show for his fans. And so he takes a little bit more riskier throws, turnover-worthy plays when he's at home to put on a show for the fans. And I'm going to easily take the over. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to throw an interception tonight. 0.5 interception, I feel like that's easy money. If it was at 1 interception, I would probably, stay away from this bet because I'm not sure he's going to throw 2. But the fact that he only has to throw 1 on a Thursday night game at home in which he's thrown 2 and 3 interceptions over the last 2 matchups against the Chargers at home, I'm loving it, okay? I think he makes those overly excited plays and throws when he's at Arrowhead Stadium, and I think he throws an interception tonight. So, yes, I will be taking a victory lap once Patrick Mahomes throws that first interception on Thursday Night Football tonight. Sticking with Patrick Mahomes. All right, let's look at his rushing yards prop here of 16.5. And 16.5 is honestly, I think, quite disrespectful against one of the quarterbacks in this league who is silently but deadly a killer with his legs, right? Can't play man defense against these guys. If everyone runs with a man, Patrick Mahomes is left unattended, he will beat you. 9.6 yards per carry over the last 3 seasons for Patrick Mahomes, okay? And he averages 6 attempts per game against the Los Angeles Chargers, whether they're scrambles or whether they're design runs. If you watch any lick of the Kansas City Chiefs, you will know that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they don't really strike up any design runs for Patrick Mahomes. It's more of a, here's the play. If no one is open, you're more than welcome to tuck it and run. Okay? So 6 rush attempts per game against the Los Angeles Chargers over the last 3 years, 9.6 yards a carry. Homeboy only needs 3, count them, 3 rush attempts tonight to hit the over on 16.5 rushing yards. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he has 14 explosive runs in these games against the Los Angeles Chargers over the last 3 years. Those explosive runs are 10 yards or more, rushes of 10 yards or more. He has 4 of those against the Los Angeles Chargers, okay? So he only needs to break 1 off, and you are not too far from 16 and a half rushing yards. I will gladly take the higher or the over there. All right, so let's move to the touchdown prop. So again, taking the under on 300.5 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes, taking the over on his rushing yards at 16.5 on underdog. If you are looking at the props on Prize Picks or FanDuel or DraftKings, I'm not even sure if I don't think DraftKings does any pick'ems like this, but shoot them in the comments. I will gladly go over those with you with the historical data that we've got here. Let's look at his touchdowns. So Mahomes is averaging 2 passing touchdowns against the Chargers since 2019. I'm still using that 3-year window since he has started for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's thrown an average of 2 touchdowns per game, okay? 2 touchdowns per game, but he threw 3 touchdowns against the Chargers in both of their games last season. So, averaging 2 a game, the momentum says he threw 3 touchdowns against them last year for their 2-game series. Okay, so I have this listed as a risky play. We're going to keep it that way. I think that is a super, super risky play. Do I think Patrick Mahomes can throw 2 touchdowns or more than 2 touchdowns, rather? And to me, that's a tough one. You lay at Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster. Patrick Mahomes threw for 5 last week in week 1 of this season. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my quarterback rankings here, show you guys a little insight here. This is what you would get for free if you join the Discord community, which will be in the link in the description here. You will have access, free $99. Will not cost you anything but a follow, maybe a like. Join the Discord community, and you will have these rankings at your disposal. All right? Same thing as the Patreon members who buy me a cup of coffee every month. And I put these together. These are homemade from scratch, made with love, projections for the quarterback. And I have Patrick Mahomes at number 6 overall. I have a situation here, downgraded weapons. I still have him tossing 660 pass attempts over the year. But we're worried about his touchdowns, though, right? So 35 passing touchdowns is what he's projected for, and a 70% chance of throwing a 36th one. So if we divide 35.7 divided by 17 games, I have him averaging 2.1 touchdowns a game. That's 2 touchdowns and a 10% chance of throwing a 3rd one in every game. He's already thrown 5. Am I saying that right? I believe he threw 5 last week. Let me double check that. I knew he threw at least 4. I know that he threw at least 4 touchdowns last week. So you're gonna follow me here while I look that up. I'm gonna lie here. I don't want y'all catching all of my bookmarks and things I've got up here. So in the meantime, we are going to look up what Patrick Mahomes did last week. I know it is 4 or 5 touchdowns, but that is important because I'm going to take that away from my projections and then calculate, his regression. Patrick Mahomes isn't going to throw 5 every game, so I have to, look at that based on trends and just see what that does to the average. I don't see him throwing more than 38 touchdowns this year. So passing, and last week, homeboy Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns against the Arizona Cardinals, and God, what a horrible team they are looking out to be, both on the defense and offensive side of the ball. Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown better get it together before DeAndre Hopkins comes, because it might be too late. The Cardinals could be a team that might not have more than 5 wins going into might not have more than 2 wins going into Week 7 when DeAndre Hopkins returns. So, Patrick Mahomes, 5 touchdowns last week. So the regression is going to be there. Okay? Even if I had betting money, I would stay far and away from Patrick Mahomes' touchdown props tonight. I think 2.5 is right where I start to get a little worried. You're cheering on for 3 passing touchdowns, and he doesn't hit it all the time. But to me, it's a little risky. I have on here that if you are a betting man, you don't want to cut your night short. Bet the over. Worst case scenario. Earlier it was listed at 2. Now it's at 2.5. So I'm going to take that back. If it was at 2 and 2 flat, and I knew I had a chance of getting my money back if it scratches, because I think he's going to throw 2. I haven't projected for 2 every single game. But the fact that he threw 5 last week already, he's due for some regression. The line has now moved from 2 passing touchdowns to 3 against a team that's now getting their number 1 cornerback in Week 2. No thanks. No thanks. And in fact, I would now more likely take the lower if I had that kind of betting money to throw millions at this. But tonight, 2.5 right now, since it's moved from 2 touchdowns to 2.5, I will gladly pass. I will either take the lower or I'm not touching his touchdown prop at all, which is what I would advise you to do. Stay away from Patrick Mahomes' passing touchdowns tonight. And that's it for Mahomes. All right, let's move on to the other quarterback, the other most important player in this game, and that's going to be Justin Herbert, the third-year quarterback out of Oregon. Man, this is going to be a fun game to watch. All right, let's look at here. His passing totals, 288.5 passing yards. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. I don't think that's enough for you guys. Oh, you still got to see his face, though. All right, there you go. So, 288.5 passing yards for tonight. Let me tell you why that is absolutely disrespectful against a formidable Kansas City defense, but a horrible secondary. Absolutely horrible. Let me tell you why. Over the last 4 games, all 4 games that Justin Herbert has played against the Kansas City Chiefs, both at home and on the road, 75% hit rate. 3 out of 4 times, Justin Herbert has thrown over 288.5 passing yards. Why you would take the under here, I honestly don't understand. Kansas City is a 4.5-point favorite. If you agree with that, then you know Justin Herbert could be trailing for a majority of this game. Or tied, right? So if that game script is either tied or they're behind, you know Justin Herbert is going to have the ball in his hand, chucking it up to either Josh Palmer or Mike Williams, okay? So this is easy. Don't overthink this. And in fact, the line went down. Last night, it was set at 289.5 passing yards. They deducted 1 yard away from that. Yeah, double smash that over. Go make some money. That will not be hard for you. If he throws less than 288 yards tonight, look, I'm not putting any skin on this. I'm not shaving my hair or my eyebrows or anything like that, but I will be legitimately shocked. 3 out of 4 times he's hit that over against the Chiefs alone. And on the road in Arrowhead Stadium, 100% hit rate. 100%. Both times on the road against the Chiefs, 100% hit rate. 2 out of 2. All right. I'll step off my soapbox for his passing yards, which I think is absolutely, disrespectful against Justin Herbert, the third-year quarterback. Let's look at his interceptions here. All right, interceptions. He has an average of not half an interception, but 0.5, 50% chance of throwing an interception in 4 games, okay? 2 interceptions, 4 games, that's 0.5 average per game, and he's never thrown an interception twice in a game against the Chiefs over the last 2 years, okay? This is a risky bet. Again, this Kansas City defense is, at least in the secondary, it's not scary. I'm not worried about an INT. What I am worried about is if Justin Herbert and the offense gets behind and Keenan Allen, his number 1 receiver, is no longer there, there's a good chance Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton, Gerald Everett, who's only in his second week with this offense, they could get the play wrong. They might get the wrong route. He can throw it behind them. He can throw it in front of them, and they're off by just a tick because Keenan Allen is out. Mike Williams coming off of a 4-target game, I believe, with no catches. So, there's a good chance that Justin Herbert's going to throw an interception in this game. It's risky. I would take the lower, to be honest with you. I would take the lower because I think Justin Herbert is really, really good at taking care of the ball. His hit rate overall on interceptions is just, for being a third-year quarterback, we typically see a whole lot more interceptions and turnovers for third-year quarterbacks going into week 2 of their third season, and homeboy just takes care of the ball. Okay, so if I'm banking on Justin Herbert's throwing interception, no thanks. I'll take the lower. But, if I could spend my money elsewhere, I would. I would not take my money and put it on Justin Herbert, one of the better quarterbacks in this league, to throw an interception. No thanks. All right, now let's move on to his touchdowns. Touchdowns last night were at 2.5 when I did my research, and they're still at 2.5 total touchdowns. All right, let's look at those hit rates just real quick. This one I skimmed over too fast. He's averaging 2.5 touchdowns per game, which is now what the line is at, 2.5. Okay, so this is what he's been throwing against the Chiefs. So underdog, Vegas, they know what they're doing. 2.5 touchdowns, that's what he's averaging. Okay, so they're kind of baiting you into this. Is this going to be a high-flying game? What is the implied total points for tonight? 52.5. Okay, that's even higher than last week's game. The Bills, the week 1 opener, Bills Chiefs had a 52-point total implied points by Vegas. Tonight, they're setting the bar slightly higher by half a point. So they're really trying to get you all into buying into this game as a high-flying fantasy game with a bunch of touchdowns. Could we be contrarian and just say, this is going to be more defense than we think it's going to be? We could, but what's the fun in that, right? There's no fun in that. So, to me, I think with Justin Herbert being a 4-point underdog, getting his best cornerback on the other side of the ball back in Arrowhead Stadium, where he's thrown 2.5 touchdowns per game over the last 4 games, I will take the over if I've got betting money. So 2.5 total touchdowns for Justin Herbert, I'll take the over. And remember, Patrick Mahomes is at 2.5, and I said I'd take the under. I would. All right, so last one here for Justin Herbert is his pass attempts. Okay, pass attempts. Right now it's grayed out on underdog, but it'll come back up. Right now and last night, the line was set at 38 attempts. 38 attempts per game, and that's how much he's averaging against the Chiefs over the last 2 seasons. 38.5 per game. And his dropbacks and his attempts have steadily increased since the beginning of his career, which is what we expect, especially from a kid who takes care of the ball as well as he does. The offensive coordinator and the head coach are going to begin to trust him a little bit more of getting rid of the ball. 38 and a half or 38 pass attempts it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. I would only take this. And just by the way, To me, it's a big toss-up, but I would not take the 38 pass attempts for Justin Herbert on the over unless I know that they're going to get blown out. Okay, and I have no reason to believe they're going to get blown out. I think this is going to be a good, close game. I think 4-point favorite for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs might actually be a little high. I think that this would be closer to 2.5-point, 3-point game. But Vegas has chosen that it's a 4-point, meaning 2-score game for the Kansas City Chiefs to win by 4 or more. All right, so going back again over Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes real quick. Not sure we'll be able to get to all the other props, but I can fly by them. All right, so let's see here. Let's move on to Austin Eckler. We'll forget about the quarterbacks for now. Austin Eckler, obviously one of the two major running backs in this game across the field from Clyde Edwards-Helaire of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Austin Eckler, the line is set at 13.5 rushes right now. Yesterday, when I looked at it, it was set at 13. Okay, he only has a 17% hit rate on this since 2020. Okay, 17% hit rate. This is extremely low. This is not a guy that handles a lot of rushes. They're a 4-point underdog. Okay, Vegas is really saying that, this is going to be a team that's going to be playing from behind. I think 13.5 rush attempts is too much. I will gladly take the over. The last time Austin Eckler had 13 rushes or more was in 2020. Okay? So, don't be afraid of that one. Austin Eckler tonight, 4-point underdog, 13.5 rushes. We'll gladly take the under there. What about 37.5 receiving yards? That's what I was looking at last night. It looks like now it has been moved to 39.5 receiving yards. Okay? So, at 37.5, and the same for 39.5, 66% hit rate. Okay? 66. So, 2/3 out of the time, he's going to get over on this. Okay? Nick Bolton is a great linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs. I would actually gladly take the over here. I would take the side with 66% of the time. That's better than a coin flip. Austin Eckler over 39.5 receiving yards. I will take that. And then one that we are absolutely taking the over, don't think twice about it, is Austin Eckler and 54 rushing yards. 54.5 now. Okay, it was 54 last night. And he has a 75% hit rate on 54.5 rushing yards. Okay? 54.5 rushing yards for Austin Eckler, 75% hit rate. You got a 3 and 4 chance of him hitting the over there. I'll gladly take the over on these rushing yards. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, that front seven, I'm not too worried about it. And neither should you. Go make your money. All right. Last one on Austin Eckler. 5 receptions. Let's see. Anastasio Alvarado. What's going on, Aaron? Do you like the rival props? Herbert, 22.5 total passing yards. Let me see here. Oh, I see. Okay. I see what you mean. Let's go look at the rivals here. I'm not going to forget about you. All right. 22.5. It's a tough one. Rivals. Giving Herbert 22.5 more passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. I think this is still disrespectful to Herbert. I'm picking the Herbert side. You're giving him 22.5 more yards as a 4-point underdog. I know he's on the road, and I know Patrick Mahomes is coming off this monster game, right? He's coming off this massive 5-touchdown game. But Aaron, with Justin Herbert being a 4-point underdog in Arrowhead Stadium, he's hit 289.5 passing yards 75% of the time over the last 2 years against the Chiefs. Yeah, I would take Justin Herbert to throw for more than Patrick Mahomes plus 22.5 yards. Great question. Let's finish up on Eckler real quick. 5 receptions. That's a 66% hit rate against the Chiefs over the last 3 seasons. So 2 out of 3 times, Austin Eckler has hit. I should probably show y'all the line, right? He has hit this. Let me see here. Where is that? I've lost my spot. receptions. Okay. He's hit this 5 reception mark 66% of the time over the last 3 years against the Chiefs. And he's hit it 100% of the time against the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. You know where they are tonight? At Arrowhead Stadium. Lock that one in. I think 5 receptions for Austin Ekeler as a 4-point underdog tonight. Justin Herbert going to throw for around 300 receiving yards. Passing yards, rather, that is. Yeah, gladly taking that over there. Okay. What about Mike Williams? Mike Will. Be careful with Mike Williams tonight, y'all, especially in redraft leagues. Just because Keenan Allen is out tonight, I don't think that makes Mike Williams better. But I'm talking all this smack about Justin Herbert tonight, right, without Keenan Allen. So he's got to really rely on Ekeler. He's got to really rely on Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton. See, that starts getting ugly. Gerald Everett. Ugh. Like, I don't know. I think Justin Herbert's going to get there. How and who? I don't know. But I have a strong feeling Guyton's going to catch like one big freaking massive pass for like 65, 70 yards. And then everything else is going to go to Mike Williams and Josh Palmer. So Josh Palmer, Mike Williams, I think they're both going to be fine starts tonight. Mike Williams as a wide receiver 2, Josh Palmer as a wide receiver 3. All right. Mike Williams, 69.5 receiving yards, is a 50% hit rate in general against the Chiefs. I mean, everything with Mike Williams is a coin flip, right? His redraft production feels like it's a roller coaster every other week. He goes off, and then he goes to sleep, and you have no idea that he's even on your team. 66% hit rate of this 69.5 receiving yards or more at Arrowhead Stadium. No thanks. Not touching it. Gerald Everett. No thanks. Not, like, why are you going to bet money and put it on Gerald Everett? No thanks. Not doing that. All right. So, just in case you're not seeing it, over and picking Herbo. Take Herbo. Take Herbo in the 25.5 yards. Aaron. All right. Great. Line for Mike Williams. What about this one? It's even worse. 5 receptions for Mike Will. We got kickoff here in a couple minutes, so I'll wrap this up. No thanks. I wouldn't touch anything Mike Williams, and I wouldn't touch anything Gerald Everett, that's for sure. CEH, real quick. The major one that I think you should take. 47.5 rushing yards. Okay? He's a 46% hit rate in general over the last 3 seasons. 46% hit rate. Okay? 100% hit rate against the Chargers at home. I'm taking it. 47.5 rushing yards. CEH, sign me up. No Tyreek Hill. This is a game where they're a 4-point favorite. Yeah, I think CEH is gonna eclipse 47.5 rushing yards. He's done it 46% of the time. I know that's basically less than a coin toss, but on a big game like this, no Tyreek Hill and no Rojo. I think CEH is going to be fine here. Last one. Sorry. I'm going to have to skip Juju because kickoff is coming here in a couple minutes. Travis Kelce, the number 1 tight end in the league right now. He's solidified himself as that last week. The line is set for 7 receptions. Okay. He's only hit over 7 receptions 4 out of 17 times over the last 2 years. I'll do the math for you. That's 24%. 24% of the time since 2021. And even worse, 41% of the time since 2020. And 66% of the time he's hit this 7 receptions, over 7 receptions since 2021. And 0% hit rate last year at home, okay, for Kelce, 7 receptions. Take the under on Kelce on everything. Kelce under everything. They are overblowing him and Patrick Mahomes' performance last week. That's all I have for you guys. I don't see any more questions, so we'll wrap this one up. I appreciate you stopping in, and I will catch you guys on Friday.